Hey, my friends, welcome back. So I had a lot of fun with this episode. Coach Jess, who you're going to meet here in a second, she runs Strong Her program at Vigor Ground Training and Performance. It's up in Renton, Washington, one of the best gyms in the country, in my opinion. And she's really just so full of life. But what you're going to hear is her own transformational story, how she lost weight, how she dealt with depression and eating for emotional support, how she neglected herself in so many ways and discovered herself along the journey, and how through that process she became a coach and started helping others. And it's absolutely incredible. So we've got lots of stuff to dive into on this one. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the show. All right, Coach Jess, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, before you were a coach, you went on a journey yourself. So you got to fill us in because it's an amazing story.
Yeah. So let's think long ago. I'll start with telling a story. So long ago when I was young. So it's best that I start at the beginning so that you kind of understand the full picture, and it kind of makes sense. Like there's challenges along the way, but going from the get-go is really like the best starting point. So I have been an athlete all my life. I started playing basketball in second grade, and it kind of just became my sport. Now, was I good at it? No, not at first. So I was like, right now I'm like 5'5". And at the time, like second grade, I was a crazy tall kid with like gangly arms and like super awkward. So I just started playing basketball, fell in love with the sport, and just kept playing like rec ball. From there, I played up into like junior high, high school, and actually up into the collegiate level for 1 year, which was amazing. Cause it's like when I started, there was a time, like, I think I was in middle school, I got cut from the 7th grade team. My family had moved to a new area, and I was like new and didn't really like have a team yet, but I had a team back home. So it was like kind of a big sports transition for me. And I tried out and I got cut because I wasn't tall enough. So I went from like being this tall kid to like being too short. And of course, like at the time, like those coaches were thinking height, like we can teach the skills. And I feel like looking back, that was a pivotal moment in my childhood, because I feel like there's a lot of times I can look at youth, and we were all there at one point, where you make choices. And I had two decisions there. It was either take that as, like that I'm a failure, that I'm not good enough, and really spin it and quit. But I went the exact opposite. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to allow this one person's decision to determine that I'm not good enough and take away the love of basketball that I had. So right after that, I got cut. I was so upset, in tears, like that normal, 13-year-old hormonal young woman that I was becoming. And I took that but I ran with it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to allow myself to ever get cut again. And so I jumped on a select team and I played year-round basketball and never got cut again, including like being able to walk on to my college team, do tryouts, and was actually a starter for the majority of the year, that 1 year that I played. So it was like my athleticism did not come naturally like some. I had to work really hard. I didn't always get a lot of playing time, but I fought for it. So yeah, hard work really does pay off. And so with that, the college side of things, so I played 1 year and then decided, you know what, I'm kind of burnt out. I've been playing for so many years and I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired. And I wanted that like college experience and not be held down by practices, which is kind of a cop out. I'm looking back, I should have just stayed and kept playing. Like I was having so much fun. But I stopped playing basketball and I kept eating the same way I was eating, as if I was like working out 6-7 days a week, 2 times a day sometimes. And, do you play team sports?
No, I was a band nerd. Found
Oh,
sports
band
later.
nerd.
I know.
Did play band. I did clarinet.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just for like 2 years. And then I was like, this isn't cool.
Thanks.
No, I'm just kidding. But looking back, I would have loved to done like orchestra or something. I feel like that could have had something.
You don't have to try and make me feel good. It's all good. This is the Coach
No, but
Jess
really.
show right now. We're good.
So I kept on eating the same way. So inevitably through the surplus of calories I was intaking and like the college party nights and things like that, I ended up probably gaining like 40 to 50 pounds within like a matter of years, really fast. And then slowly, like as I lost that like amazing athletic body I had built for myself, but now recognizing I had really poor nutrition habits then too. And I think as a young athlete, you just are like working out so hard, you just eat what you can. Yeah. And I wasn't raised in a household of poor eating habits. Like my mom and my dad did a great job at providing like those like right health balance at home. Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh, here's fast food, oh, we're doing this. Like I lived in a house, there were 6 of us. So it was like my mom, my stepdad, and my siblings. There was 4 of us. So I mean, we ate good, we ate well, but we didn't eat like really crappy. So I think just as a youth, you don't really pay attention to that. And it wasn't something that coaches really promoted too much. So I gained all that weight. I'm in my early 20s, and I'm like, my confidence is starting to dive, my self-worth diving down. And at one point I saw a photo of myself and it gets kind of blurry. So this part of the story gets kind of blurry, but it all kind of makes sense in the big picture. But I like woke up. I was like, oh my gosh, Jess, like, who are you? I was pushing over 200 pounds. And just like, not feeling good about myself. Self-worth was down. And I'm really good about putting on a face. So like I am naturally really outgoing and charismatic and people person. People like to blame that on me being a Gemini. I'm like, okay. I get along with pretty much everybody. But I also want to get along with everybody. I really enjoy meeting new people and hearing about other people's stories. And I've always been kind of like a healer in a sense, like, oh, there's something going on, like, let me help you. So I'm easily to push my issues away and push myself into other people's stuff. So I kind of, at that point when I kind of woke up to how poorly my health was, I got a little wild on the Beachbody train. So like P90X, Insanity, all these like videos. I even became like a Beachbody coach for a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, I was just doing it to get the discount. Like there really wasn't, oh man, I was so inconsistent. It was so bad. Like coming from being a team sport player, I am fueled by working out around others and other like-minded individuals.
Sure.
So I was like, no, I'm going to do it all by myself. I could do it. I was an athlete. Yeah. Okay. I was just talking myself up. But I did hop on the train of what we call yo-yo dieting, which is, you start, like I started a Beachbody video and like, I would be like, oh yeah, I'm doing so good. Day 2. And then week 1, week 1's over, week 2, day 1, and like posting all this stuff. And then from there, like I would see results and then just stop. Cause I was like, okay, I'm seeing results. Like it's going to stay this way. Yeah. But inevitably I hadn't created a new habit. I hadn't changed my lifestyle at all. I was still eating poorly. So inevitably I actually regressed and gained more weight overall. And I did that a few times. And I also got crazy about cardio in the gym. Like I got a 24-hour gym membership and was just all about those cardio machines and like spent like hours on end. And to be honest, like through that period of yo-yo dieting, which was probably about like, a year or so, I lost 30 pounds, but I got like really like saggy skin. So it was like, well, where's that like toned look that they say I can get from the magazines?
Yep.
Right. So, but I didn't realize it. Like, you have to have lean muscle mass on your body to be able to get that toned look. And instead I had eaten away, yes, at my fat, but also at my muscle. So here I am like feeling like, oh, I lost 30 pounds, but I was all like skin.
Right.
Oh, there's some key details I kind of forgot out too. So with that, well, actually, no, we're leading up into that. And I'm about to be very transparent. It could be a trigger for some people out there. For me, it's really important that I am upfront and honest about the stuff that I went through after I lost the 30 pounds, because it leads me to who I am now and the awakening of which I had. So for those who are trigger warning, like heads up. So after I lost the 30 pounds, I was really pumped. I was really excited. And what had been going on in the background is that my mom had been battling cancer on and off for 7 years. So I graduated high school in 2006, and she was diagnosed November. So graduated in June. In November, I was diagnosed, or she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And that was actually just the beginning of my college basketball career. So imagine, like, I'm in college, I'm loving it. I am practicing twice a day, starting to get ready, ramped up for games. And then, get this call, and my mom has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which is probably one of the most, like, I can still remember the day my stepdad called me and said, hey, like, Mom, they found cancer. Like, it just like literally rocked my world. And when one person in your family has cancer, everyone kind of absorbs it as well. Yeah. She battled on and off for 7 years. And then of the summer of 2013 is when the chemo treatments just kind of just stopped working. She stopped feeling like well, like she had been feeling good. She had changed doctors. And we were rooting for her. Every time she went and got a blood test, we were like, oh, we want like the good levels to be there. But inevitably, like, unfortunately, fate had it that she would be diagnosed as terminal in November of 2013. Now, I will say that I've always been interested in psychology, mindset, behavior change. All my life as a young child, I would always be interested in like, oh, why are those two people together? Or what's going on here? Like, and it's like, I have film to like, I can say that it's documented in like family videos. So, and I say that because of the story that will come after that. So we actually were very, very blessed and fortunate to bring her home on hospice care for the last month of her life. And they said, oh, she has like 2 weeks. But she was alive and, like stayed very much alert until she passed away in December of 2013. And that's kind of where my journey kind of really starts to begin. And some people might not understand it. Like, how could you say that? You lost your mom. Hell yeah, I lost my mom. And it sucks losing the most important woman, person, significant individual in your life. Someone who was a rock, a staple of like just a strong individual in your life. And it was horrible. Like, it was very traumatizing. There are still times where I can't see specific photos of like, because when she was dying, she really got really sick. So she couldn't eat anymore. She kind of like started to like lose all this weight so fast. And so there's still things that are very like triggering at times. But as much as it sucks that she's gone, I was able to wake up and find myself. And some might be able to understand that. Some people might be going through that journey right now, but know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and we might not ever really understand it until you're through the thick of it. With her passing, things clicked. And prior to that, with like my career, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was originally in school for business and like HR. And after she had passed away, I took a look at my transcripts because I just, I I'd finished my AA and I was looking and I was like, what am I good at? And I knew what I was good at. It was in there, that gut feeling and that push of like, you're really great at working with people. And, you love to help people feel better about themselves, things like that. And so I realized, oh, you know what? Within an instant, I was like, I'm going back to school. I applied at Eastern to transfer, and my major was in psychology. With that, I just threw myself into school. After my mom passed away, like I mentioned before, I tend to avoid the pain. And so I pushed myself into other people. And I jumped right into, I do a lot of work with the American Cancer Society. So I was like, all right, Relay for Life, in 6 months, we're going to raise all the money in the world because we're going to cure cancer and no one's going to have to lose a parent ever again. Like that was my MO. Like, I'm not going to let anybody else in the world experience the death of a parent through cancer. Granted, like that is still out there. We're going to find a cure one day. It is my wish for everybody to stop that experience. So within like 6 months, I was like back into school and just throwing myself into my studies. But I also got engaged 6 months after my mom passed away. And that was like so amazing. And I threw myself into wedding planning and it got a little out of control. I love you, family, for dealing with that. But then I woke up to the fact that grief takes a toll on you. For the first 3 months after she passed away, I don't remember a thing really. It's really blurry. I just remember knowing that I needed to go back to school and that I knew that it needed to be in psychology. Like I had a path and that's what I knew what I needed to do. So I actually again, woke up to the fact that I had gained all 30 pounds back and some more. And it was just, I was out of control. Like I am, first to admit, I'm an emotional eater, even to this day. I really have to be aware, and through some years of therapy since then, I have been able to kind of start to recognize the triggers even more so. And even more so in recent years, and be very open to it and know that it's okay to be an emotional eater. It's okay, but you have to recognize it. And I think so much in society, like especially a lot of the women that I come across, is I can recognize through just them telling me their story that there's emotional backing. And a lot of the women that I work with tend to emotionally eat, but you have to recognize it and kind of like start to narrow down, like, what are the triggers and how can I, catch myself in mid like moment of wanting to reach for the snacks or the popcorn or whatever it might be, the alcohol, something, and kind of turn it around and say, you know what, I don't need food right now. Like, I'm not hungry, but like, let's go read that book that I've been wanting to read. Or, lately I'm going to bring up one of my new favorite shows, Russian Doll. I'm not sure if you've heard of that show yet. No. It is so, okay, not gonna lie. Okay, so there's one season, 8 episodes. I've watched it twice.
That's commitment.
Yeah, it's kind of like a new, fresh take on Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray. It's real good. It's and for a person of psychology, I'm just like, yeah, that's amazing. So, and even not, if you're just into something that's kind of dark humor, it's all good. Like,
sounds good.
So yeah. So how can you so with the emotional eating, like how can you redirect it and like kind of do a pattern interruption? So back to being freshly engaged. And yes, I do have moments of tangents. So we'll go. So I don't apologize because it usually leads to something good.
It goes exactly where it's supposed to go. Like, I'm all for it.
So after being engaged, I was like, well, I want to be the bride I see in the magazines. Like, oh, they're so, granted, I don't have the height, but you can make the height with some high heels.
There you go.
So I think I've just really dove into wedding planning because it was something, again, to take my mind off the fact that I was really hurting deep down inside. I was like so in love with the idea that, like a man wanted to, that he wanted to like marry me, commit his life to me. But also deep down inside, I was really sad. Like I was grieving so hard, and being the oldest sibling, I really took on this responsibility to make sure my siblings were okay. So another way to avoid my internal feelings, I really made sure that like my siblings are okay. Like, are you guys all good? Like always checking in, kind of almost to an obsessive thing where they're like, okay, like you're not mom. I'm like, but mom's not here anymore. And like, what if you need something? Even though granted, like we all take care of each other and we were very much a loving family and very connected and bonded. But I kind of felt myself getting like needing to fill that role of like, she's not around anymore, but really it's like, no one can really fill that role. So ultimately you just have to kind of be supportive in the long run for everybody. So wanted to be that bride. Like, you know, that like hip, skinny, tall, thin bride. I can't help but dance a
Paint
little
such a
bit.
good picture.
With like the best photos in the world. So photography was like the biggest deal for me. I was like, we're having the best photographer ever, because I needed to be able to show everybody like, oh, why do I need everybody's approval? I didn't. Like I now see like that was a silly way to go about it. But to me, it was really important. But I realized, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, you totally gained all your weight back and some more. So guess what I did? Beach body. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to hop on the train. But one thing, like beach body videos are great to an extent. I'll give them that credit. And they're really good about getting people excited and on board. I would suggest don't do it alone, but you also have to have a backup plan. That's one thing that they kind of lack in, is giving you the tools to keep going afterwards, if that makes sense. Because it's like all out, like all 6 days a week, 7 days a week. And then like, what do you do after 21 days? What do you do after 90 days? So I kind of caught myself back into this like obsessive cardio rather than 24-hour fitness, hitting up the Beachbody videos, extreme calorie deficit. Like we're talking like, wake up, sister, you are in starvation mode. Super sassy. No one wants that. But then within like probably 3 months to my wedding, I woke up and was like, man, you are not where you want to be. And I woke up because I found a wedding dress, and it was the dream dress I always wanted. And I ordered it. And ladies, I'm going to say this now. Listen to your bridal consultant, because myself ordered a size down when they were like, you should order up and tailor in. We cannot take out. And I got the wedding dress in, and it actually didn't fit. And believe it or not, which it's so sad, I feel as a woman speaking to other women right now, lift each other up, like empower each other, because the way I felt at that bridal store putting on that dress, when I ordered a size down and it didn't fit, I felt so completely embarrassed. And there was like 2 of the consultants with me. And I could tell one was like trying to be nice about it. The other one was like, well, you can come back in a month because you said you've been working out, like totally discrediting me because I had been doing those videos. So it was kind of a wake-up call again, like, okay, well, what you've been doing has not been working. And for those of you who may know, like when you do yo-yo dieting like that, it jacks up your metabolism, the roller coaster, and you never kind of reset ever. So you have to work like twice as hard and attack it from all different angles. But also consistency is really, really important. I couldn't stress that more, especially as a coach now. And that's one thing that I see can be really hard for people that I coach, is the consistency and trusting the process. And I was just wanting a quick fix. So believe it or not, I found Vigor. So I'm a homebred coach. I found Vigor grounds after a freak accident at a place called Dojo 3 down the street from the Vigor. And I did a dance class. And it was a freak accident because I tweaked my back doing a twerk in the in the dance class. And I was like, oh, like it just didn't feel right. And then I was like, you know what? I don't think dance class is the best idea for me, especially because looking back, like I had 0 core stability. I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking trying to do those like booty pops like that.
Trying to get ready for the wedding.
I know. I was like, anything now, shakes, only water. So with 3 months left to my wedding, I found Vigor. And I still remember, and this is why I love doing orientation now as a coach. I still remember my orientation. I think it was March 16th, 2015. And I walked in. I'd never really done anything alone before. So this was like a whole new world for me, because normally I'm like, oh, I need my friends. I need this. I need that. Like comfort. What do they call those? Security blankets. Yeah. I need my security blanket, like Linus and Charlie Brown. So I had researched Vigor prior to that, and I saw Luca on there and all his videos and the website and Facebook, and I was like, you know what, this is going to be awesome, because it reminded me of my college basketball days, and there was a team involved, like together, like we all have a common goal, but which is just being together, and the culture and the family, and which now I've like come to just love so much. And so I walked into orientation. There was a class going on. It was kind of nerve-wracking. The front desk greeted me. They're awesome. And then I did the orientation, and there, like when you start something and you like get excited about it on the inside, you're like, ooh, like had a little bit of a fire. So it's like, let's say you have like a mini bonfire going, and then all of a sudden at the end, I was like, whoa, like a wildfire. I was like, I gotta be here. I can't wait for my first class. Like I hadn't been so excited for something in so long. And we have to look back, like I'm going through grief. Like I had lost my mom a year and 3 months prior to this, and I was still having a hard time dealing with it. Like easily triggered, easily, like I'm a crier. Like I cry. But this is like on an extreme level. So almost like on the level of complicated grief, which is something that is actually pretty concerning, especially if it kind of becomes debilitating. So from there, I started classes. I remember my first workout. I thought the warm-up was a workout. I was like, oh my gosh, are we done? And of course, like the members were just so nice off the bat, so welcoming. And still to this day, everyone is so amazing when it comes to new members, because we were all there at one point.
Yeah.
And then from there, I worked out. I worked with Cody McBroom, who, has his own, he's off doing his own stuff now, which is really awesome to see. And he really helped. Like he started, like he was my coach there in the beginning. And then after about a month, I signed up, never looked back. And so I had my wedding in 3 months, felt really good, lost about 15 pounds. And that's where the transformation started. I came back from my wedding and I just hit the ground running. And within a year, I had this moment on the turf. And I will pre-frame this, like I have a loud personality. I like to be a part of stuff. So the team trainings, the small groups, just being a part of the gym was really important to me. So at that point of which I had this epiphany, I kind of already like was a member, like a kind of I don't know how to explain it. Like how you meet those people and they just like are a part of the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you just like, they've like it's just like almost like I had always been, but I hadn't, if that makes sense. Like as if it was already a home, but I hadn't found it yet.
Yeah. Like they're such a founding member that it's like they are part of what creates the culture.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it was like always my destiny to find that gym. It was always, and it's crazy to think back the life experiences that I went through in the fitness journey, but I was always supposed to find Vigor. That's how I feel now looking back. And so within like about a year or so, I was sitting on the turf, and I had like, let me tell you, like since my mom passed away, yes, I like knew that I wanted to go back to school for psychology, but I never really felt that call for like a job. And there was a moment on the turf, and I'll tell you right now, I am definitely someone who likes to listen to my gut, very intuitive. I'm definitely a feeler, and you can ask any of my coworkers that, but they like to call me Ghost Girl. I like the metaphysical stuff and like crypto stuff, Bigfoot, all that kind of stuff. That could be a whole nother show.
Yeah, there you go.
So I had this feeling within, and I don't think I'd ever really listened to that inner gut feeling, that inner intuition of like, I need to be a part of this. And I wasn't sure, in what form that would be, but I knew that I needed to be a part of the gym in some shape or form, but also that it was lacking a female program. There had been a female program, Strong Her, prior to me starting, but it was no longer around when I had started at Vigor. So to me, there was a female program lacking, and that I knew I needed to be a part of the facility. So Cody actually he referred this book called The Dream Giver, which I would 100% recommend everyone read. Now, it has a faith background, but regardless of your beliefs, it has an amazing story to tell. Have you read it?
No, I haven't, but someone else had mentioned it just recently, so that's it's on my list now.
Yeah, it's a parable, And it's about really going for your dreams and like the journeys that you'll face along the way. And I won't give away too much because you should go out and buy it. I'm not sponsored.
I do not get an affiliate cut by sponsoring this video.
No. So I read The Dream Giver, and it really like woke me up to the fact that like I have a dream down in there and I am destined for greatness. And I might not know right now, but I do know that I have a dream to be a part of this gym. So I set up a meeting with Luca, and I don't remember what I said, but I was so nervous. To me at the time, he was like so intimidating, but like so cool at the same time. So it was like, he was like a celebrity to me. But now he's like just like my really cool, fun, crazy uncle brother guy.
The Slovenian sledgehammer.
I know. Yeah, he knows so much. It's like and then I set up this meeting and I sat down with him and I just stood there. He was sitting and I stood there and I was like, I feel drawn to here. And I don't even remember what I said, but I do remember I had so much passion, so much conviction, so much like, this is me, like I need to be a part of this, that he was like, I don't think I could say no if I wanted to. And I was like, and that's where it began. And I'm so thankful every day for his trust, his belief in me. And with his, and the fact just that he believes in me and my whole team believes in me, it has been such a blessing because it's really nice to have that support. On the backside is knowing that they believe in you, even though you don't know everything. I don't know everything, even to this day. Like I'm so curious and always searching. So from there, I started my internship, and my very first week, I got to do training for warriors with Martin Rooney.
Nice.
Yeah, that cert. And that was probably the best introduction to coaching anyone could ever have. It fueled my soul. It reaffirmed my gut feeling in that I was following not just a thought, but my dream, my passion, and that I am capable and I don't know. Everything just clicked even more. So something that was like, oh, it's just a dream, it might happen, to like, no, this is going to happen. Like, you are going to make it happen. And that was such a mind shift because yes, I was still battling the grief, but now I had purpose. Now I had drive. And now I was getting ready to be able to be this coach, and goal being like greatness. And heck, if I can get on the level of Luca, to me, I was like, if I can coach out there as good as he does, I know that it's going to be amazing. And so I just strive to push all the time to be on that level. It's always a work in progress. So from there, I did a 5-month internship, which is 2 months longer than most, but I also was in full-time school, full-time work. And then I also was a full-time intern as well. And so I just pushed myself into coaching and learning as much as I could, stayed super late sometimes. And, my husband couldn't really quite understand that, at times, and was frustrating, but that sometimes your dreams, like, you just got to go for it. Like, I'd never had that drive before. So I was like, I just got to do it. So lots of late nights, building relationships with the coaches, the clients, being a client, transitioning to an intern into a coach was definitely work, because interns come and go. Even to this day, it's like sometimes people get really pumped about it and then they kind of fall off. I took my internship really seriously, and it was really important to me that I created a really good foundation of trust. So I made sure to always be showing up, being there, being accountable. And then from there, I started my coaching journey. And then with help of Tiffany, Coach Tiff, she came on board not too long after I became a coach. And using her background along with mine, she came from outside gym. I'm already within the gym. So we kind of used that to our advantage. And we brought back Strong Her. And with about a couple months, Tiffany kind of went on her way. Another coach came in and we were going to do it together, but then she ultimately decided she wanted her own program, which is awesome. But then it came time for me to realize, okay, I wanted a female program back. Now it's just mine. Like, what am I going to do with it? So, so it was kind of scary, but I was also really good at the same time because it pushed me to get uncomfortable and take ownership for this dream and not rely on anyone else but myself, and prove to myself that I was capable of being that coach that I always wanted to be. And I'm still working on it. I am my biggest critic as a coach. I have times where I am full of self-doubt, full of like, am I bringing my clients the best thing? But you know what? Day in and day out, the retention shows that I'm doing a good job. And I have to sometimes stop and look at that because I forget. And when I'm in moments of like high anxiety of like, oh, am I doing good enough? Am I doing good enough? And then, I'll have a client here and there remind me like, Jess, you are a great coach. Like, thank you so much for being there for me. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I am. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I love you for that. So, and then along the journey of being a coach, this journey is wild. It's still going. I feel like I'm always in this progress, but as an intern coach, I actually prepped for a bikini competition as well.
Jeez.
Yeah. And that was really to see that I could do it. Cause on that list of goals, when I first sat down with Cody, when I first was a client, it was at the very bottom. I had to feel confident enough to compete in a fitness competition. And when I was asked, one of my really good friends at the time, I was just saying, oh, I'd never do a show. And then I get 10 minutes later, she comes walking up. Hey, Jess, you want to do Emerald Cup with me? And I'm like, yeah. So, like September of 2016, we started our journey. There was 5 of us. 2 of us went to the show.
Wow.
And it was a roller coaster. And let me tell you, I know that I'm capable of anything after competing in a fitness competition. But I will tell you right now, though I have a degree in psychology and I understand how the mind works to some degree, you really have to be careful and understand that like competition is so different than real life. Competition body is not real life. The calorie deficit that we got into was insane. And it was a really great experience. But looking back, I actually came out of the show with what I would call post-show blues. Though I am so proud of that and like the discipline and the dedication that I proved that I had. Cause I of course like self-doubt, self-worth, all that kind of stuff pops into your head when you're getting ready to compete, and the deficit of calories starts making you weird. You can talk to any of my clients. They're like, Jess got kind of stupid towards the end.
And you're cold all the time.
Oh my gosh. It was crazy because at the end, like I was trying to run classes. I forgot how to teach a kettlebell deadlift.
Yeah, no, that sounds right.
Yeah. And I'm like, you guys know what you're doing.
Yeah. You're just like stumbling for like the most basic words ever. You're like, this is not good.
Yeah. And I'm like,
I should not be able to operate like a motorized vehicle right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I probably shouldn't have been driving at all too. And then I came out of the show with what I would call post-show blues, which inevitably led to me being diagnosed with borderline severe depression and anxiety within 3 months of my show. And I like to be transparent about this because all the stuff I had tucked away in my back pocket about my grief with my mother came to light. And I got to a place where I didn't want to live anymore. And it wasn't that I was suicidal. It was like I didn't want to take my own life. It was very much like, I am so sad. Like, I don't have anything going on for me anymore. Cause like my goals changed. Like I had completed a huge goal, 9 months. 9 months is how long it takes to bake a human. So it's like 9 months of a journey. And then I didn't really have any plans after. So from there, I started, I worked with my doctors. I got a therapist. I still see her to this day, every other week for an hour. Best decision of my life. I highly endorse therapy. I think regardless if you need it or not, everyone should try it. And then I hopped on some antidepressants. Wasn't an ideal thing, but I knew I needed to do something to get me out of this funk that I was in. Cause it was like, have you ever seen The Others?
No.
Oh, you got to watch that too. Okay.
All
Dream
right.
Giver, The Others. Those are your challenges for the
You
next.
got it.
So in The Others, there's a scene where the lady leaves the estate and it's foggy. And she gets engulfed in this fog of which she can't find her way out. And there was one point before I really sought out like some psychiatric help was when I was sitting on my couch one day and I was sitting there and I literally felt like I was wrapped in this fog that I couldn't see out of. And I knew that I could call anyone for support. I knew. And I will make light that, my significant other is a police officer. So there was a lot of times I didn't talk about it with him because I didn't want him to worry about it, because at his job, he's already worrying about just, the survival aspects as well sometimes, and dealing with what he deals with at work and seeing the craziness that happens in the police world. So a lot of this I kind of kept to myself, feeling like I can't talk about it because I don't want him to worry. I don't want my family to worry. So I kept a lot of it in. Being an extrovert, like that was not like the best. I should have talked about it sooner. So in that fog moment, I realized like I have support, but I don't want them to worry about me. So for those of you who have seen the others, that scene, watch it. You'll understand. I'm not going to give it away. It's kind of like a ghosty movie, so it's good. So from there, I sought out help. I got on some antidepressants, and, I'm really thankful for them. Like it helped to get me out of the funk, started therapy. Cause at that point in which I started the meds, I was kind of too far past, just do therapy. Like I was really on the other end, almost too far on the other end of the spectrum. So I started therapy, and within 9 months, I was able to talk to my doctors and say, you know what, let's get off the meds. Who's Jess now? And I'm happy to say that, I've been off meds for about a year now, and I still do the therapy. And through that, I found myself, when I woke up and was a client at Vigor, but also I found myself again and even better. So I have really kind of stepped into my own now. I'm a lot more about just being as authentic as possible. And that means sometimes saying, I don't know, in a coaching aspect. Like if a client's like, hey, I have this going on, like, you know what, I'm not sure, but let's go find that out. And being transparent. And so who you get now is who you're going to get. And that's as real as can be, because that's what I realize is the most important, is I stop worrying about playing up to those who you want their approval. Like the approval that I need is from me now. And that's a really, really powerful thing, especially when it comes to the transformation journey. So throughout my whole life, which was like really focused on fitness, and then it led to like fitness, nutrition, that kind of thing, I finally was able to connect the mind, the body, and the soul within the last couple of years as a coach too. So it shows that regardless of, I'm a coach, I'm doing great things, but also like I have work to do still. So the transformation is continuous. And that's a really, really powerful and beautiful thing. It's something that I hope that everyone can wake up to, is that just because you transform within that little bit with the weight or physically, there's also lots of other transformations going on as well in your life and throughout your lifestyle. And if you can connect them all together, like one big happy mold, like, and it is my dream for everybody to do that, you'll really find like who you are. And I'm still working on it. So this is just like Jess now. Like I can't wait for another year from now. So we'll see. So that's kind of, my story. And, I'm really thankful to be able to run a really successful women's program at Vigor with the trust and the support of a really amazing team that I have. My bosses are amazing. Luca's been like a number one fan. Theo, all the team. And the retention rate has just been amazing, and so blessed to be able to help so many women, and really the mission of Strong Her for me. And I feel like I kind of take, because of my background, I kind of take a psychological twist to it, is to help women feel confident enough to lift a little bit heavier than they did before, to walk around feeling better in their own skin, and to create a psychologically safe environment to feel comfortable to push themselves a little bit further than they did before. Talk about things that are going on in their life. And I've been very blessed and fortunate to work with a lot of amazing women the last 2 years, because we just had our 2-year anniversary on March 16th.
Congrats.
Which is crazy because I started my orientation March 16th of 2015. So for one that's like all into the metaphysics and that kind of stuff, I really believe that, the universe lined this up on purpose.
Too freaking cool. What a story. What a journey. And I love the realization that it's forever a journey, and transformation is forever continuous, and that you're already looking forward to Jess 4.0, Jess 5.0. You're actually like enthusiastic about it and the obstacles that are probably going to come along the way to get you to that, which is really
absolutely
cool. So, you talked about like being an emotional eater, and I thought that was really interesting. You said you learned to kind of recognize your triggers and like, first off, just say it's okay.
Yeah.
And I thought it's so powerful to take away the guilt, to take away the shame, and to recognize that like that's probably what's keeping you in that loop. Is if you are feeding the guilt and the shame, then exercise will be a way to beat yourself up for it, or you'll go back to the thing that will make you feel better instantly, which is probably the food or the alcohol that you ate in the first place, right? Because that's going to give you the dopamine release, the serotonin release, and then spiral you. And so you talked about like replacing it with self-care, and I just thought that was so brilliant. So what other ways do you share or teach, or do you do yourself for self-care or to stop that loop, or just expand upon that? Because I think that's really needed.
So as far as, some things that I do, one is just practice. Like it really does take patience when it comes to being able to recognize the triggers, and also being open to discussion. So like a lot of times I work with my clients, and nutrition is what I'm finding. And I've only been coaching for like 2 years. I feel like a baby. Actually, how many? A little over 2 years. I feel like a baby at this still. So I have learned that a lot of the people that I work with, like nutrition is so much more at the forefront when it comes to like truly getting them to transform their physiques the way they want to in the mind, is like really tackling the nutrition side. So what I like to try to do when it comes to being like one, I'm open about it. So then it creates a comfort level with my clients to be like, you know what, I'm struggling with that too. And then I can talk about what I do. So what I do is, one, I am honest. I try to be as honest as possible. Let's be honest, I'm not perfect. And like recognize, okay, like I'm having a moment. I'm like opening the fridge. What am I doing? Like there's been moments where I've literally opened the fridge and been like, what are you doing? Shut it. And been like, okay, I'm good. Or maybe I'll text somebody like, hey, you know what? I'm really kind of feeling weird right now, and I really want to eat something. Like, can you like talk to me? Or, just pattern interrupt by like already setting up like, I know I have some studying to do, because currently I'm working on the pre and postnatal cert from Girls Gone Strong.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah. Super good stuff. And I'm like, 85% of women will have children at some point. So of 85% of my clients will at some point either have children or they already have already had children. So I think it's a really important thing for especially female coaches, all coaches to have.
Yeah, I'd say all coaches.
Yeah, especially like you guys, you got to have an understanding.
Yep.
So I'll be like, oh, like I need to like go fold laundry the way the Marine Kondo does, or like kind of like have ideas already in check even before I even get triggered. So that when I do recognize it, I'm like, oh, but why am I eating? Let's go, you have laundry to fold. Or I know that sounds silly, but it can be very, very, very basic. Like, oh, you know what? Instead of this, like, I need to go clean out my car, or let's do like a 5-minute guided meditation using the Simple Habit app. Or like, oh, you know what? There's been that like movie that I've been really wanting to watch. Like, let's go watch that. Or something that totally takes away from the idea of food, if that kind of makes sense.
No, totally. I mean, the body like stores feelings and the brain stores thoughts. And so the body is just conditioned 95% unconscious to delve deep into the habits that are pre-programmed. So if it's been programmed to open that fridge, or if it's been programmed based on a thought or feeling or emotion that surfaces to eat something, it's going to automatically do that. The way we automatically put our cars into gear and drive to work without having to think about it. So for you, it's just being aware. And like you were telling your clients, to bring some awareness and then be curious. Wait, whoa, what am I doing? And trying to catch that, and then having some programmed type options that would probably elicit the same type of emotion or feeling. So whether it's like a sense of accomplishment with the laundry, like you mentioned, or, calling a friend or watching a movie that's going to give you those positive feel good. So it's coming at it from that direction, which is brilliant. Yeah.
But I feel like it's really important not to make food a negative thing.
Sure.
And battling emotionally eating, sometimes you can make it like really bad. Like, oh, all food is bad. Food is freaking amazing. First of all, there are some great, like, I love food. And I specifically, I'm a big Mexican food fan, like Latin food. I love, like, on a whole weird level. So, I mean, you just have to, again, like you talked about, like repattern the brain. And it literally takes practice. It was not an overnight thing for me. And also, like, recognizing, like, okay, I have a plan in place for when stuff happens and triggers. For me, it's stress and grief. So if I, like, watch a movie that triggers, one, I will openly trigger myself sometimes to cry, and that's okay. With grief, it will never go away. It never has a time frame. It will always be like, I will forever always think about my mother every day. I could only wish to talk to her, you know, like, I wish I could have like 5 minutes just to chat with her again and give her a hug and hear her laugh. But I do know, like, sometimes I kind of like make myself grieve a little bit. It's a processing thing. But with that can also trigger me to want to eat. So it just takes practice. And if you can be patient with yourself, because a lot of times we get frustrated with ourselves. Well, why isn't it working now? Like, everybody is like, I want it now. Like that kid from Willy Wonka. Was that the golden goose girl? Yeah. Like, where she's like, I want it now.
I think so. I don't know. We could go, all those characters have so much power in them.
It's like that instant gratification, but this is something that you have to work on. And that's something I've learned over the last couple of years, just training, coaching, in therapy, things like that. It's just a lot of patience and takes time. So we have to be able to wipe our slate clean of the instant gratification idea when it comes to truly transforming for the better over the duration of our life. So it's really like kind of have to reboot our software.
Yeah. I love to say, like, feel tonight or feel tomorrow. It's not that we want to, like, eliminate that feeling. Like, no, you want to have the food and get that feeling. Well, that's great. But what do we want more overall? What do we want to feel tonight when we're going to bed and when we're satisfied? And so then it's like, cool. Now that I'm aware and curious about how I want to feel tonight, I can look at what I was about to do and say, do I still want to have this? Or maybe just in a different portion or in a different way? Or do I actually want to exchange this for something else? And so it's just staying curious, staying aware. And, well, how do I want to feel tomorrow? I still want to have these positive feelings. So where do I want them to show up? And that may be, like you were saying, an instance of delayed gratification instead of chasing the instant gratification. Yeah.
And I also do with my clients is have them do texting accountability. And I am a lot of coaches out there that I've talked to are like, you got to create boundaries. But you know what? For some reason, I can't. And I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with that. I definitely do have my boundaries, like my Sunday afternoons, things like that. But I want the best for my clients. And that's where, like, when I think about my purpose it's really to help heal. And my platform is fitness. So, I mean, if it helps somebody get further in their journey by just sending me a message and I say, you know what, thanks for reaching out. Like, I'm sorry you're having a hard day. Or just the idea of like, oh, you know, I was accountable to my coach and that helped them a little bit. I'm okay with that. I'm willing to not have those boundaries for the benefit and growth of my clients, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. But, well, and where you're at in your journey too, mentioning that you're, 2 years in. And so it's also for the growth that sounds like you're going through too, and like, it's for you staying super curious about where they're at in their journey, because you're like, I can learn and we can grow and we can change. And then you have even more tools in your toolkit, right? Like the further along in my coaching career I get, almost 10 years in so many different capacities. And I'm at that place where I'm still just so like, I know nothing. Like,
oh my gosh. We just did a cert at Vigor. It was CPPS with Joe DeFranco.
Yeah, I saw that was happening. That's really cool.
Oh my gosh. I was so nervous. I was like, I know nothing. There's other coaches here. They're going to ask me questions. But you know what? We all know nothing.
Right. And that's the beauty, right? Like,
that's what I love about it though, is that you're always actively curious. And that's a beautiful thing. And when you stop being curious is when you need to reevaluate what's going on and what you're doing. Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's the client journey too, right? When we stop being curious is when we start self-sabotaging, or when we stop being aware is when we lose awareness and we go down a path that we didn't even mean to go down. So I think it's spot on.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So before I ask my last question, where can people find you if they want to just kind of follow along with watching you lift people up as well as lift heavy weights?
Yeah. So you can find me. I am in person at Vigor Ground out of Renton, Washington. And I'm also on Instagram. I think what is it? My handle is Coach Jessica _Sue. And that's HSU is the last name. And we also have at Vigor Ground, what is it? Hold on. Totally messed that up. So I'm also on Strong Her by Vigor Ground. I should have been more prepared.
It's all good. Well, once you get it, and I'll just splice this in, and then I'll tag all these in the show notes.
Okay. All right. I got it. All right. So let me redo that. So you can find me on Instagram at Coach Jessica _Sue. You can also follow the Strong Her Instagram at Strong Her by Vigor. We also have at Vigor Ground Fitness and Performance as well. But I'm on the Facebook as well. So Instagram, the Vigor Ground, the gym, the facility in Renton is where I really like, for me as a coach, I want to be like a destination coach. So it's like, have you been to Vigor in Renton, Washington, where like Coach Jess, the head coach of Strong Her is? I kind of want to be as something that's like, you have to experience me to really understand the power of the Coach Jess.
I love it. You're building it up. I'm like, man, I'll have to put on some long hair and sneak in there.
Yeah, you can come join a class.
Yeah, exactly. I might have to shave the beard, but I'll make it happen.
You know what? That's okay. You can keep it too. Just wear the wig.
Sweet. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. So last question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For someone who's sitting there on the other side of this and they're listening, especially, maybe a female who's out there doing a bunch of cardio and she's getting ready and she's, maybe even dealing with some grief and just like, you expose a lot of things for her to think about. What do you believe she needs to hear right now to understand what it takes to truly transform?
I think to truly transform and start the process is know that it's going to take time and patience and trust. And if you can find a facility, find a coach, coaches need coaches. I have my own coaches. Find the support, like-minded support is going to be ever so important, but also know that you're not alone. We all have a journey. We all have a story. Just know that it's going to take consistency, time, and patience is going to be the three big ones. But I'll make it a fourth one: support. Like, if without the support that I've had throughout the years, I don't think I'd be where I'm at now. And just the belief in self and with the others believing in me, and that they believe that I was capable. And if you have people behind you that believe in you, they trust, like, you can do anything and you're capable of anything, but know, like, it's going to be a journey. So be ready for it, but it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a beautiful one, because on the other side of that door, there's a lot of great stuff just waiting for you.
I love it. You may even find yourself becoming a coach.
Yeah, you never know. I literally woke up to it.
Too cool. Yeah. Well, Coach Jess, greatly appreciate it. And I know viewers and listeners are going to take away a lot from this. So again, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Woo.
All right, my friend, that concludes another great episode. And I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for going on this journey with me, going down this path as you and I continue to explore and uncover the truth of what it takes to completely transform. And now you've got two assignments. And the first one is it's really important that you take action on one thing that you heard from today's message. It's important to take the education with a little bit of implementation so that you can yield the results to go from good to great, to go from ordinary to extraordinary, to go from your everyday norm to a place where you can completely transform transform. And the second thing that I need you to do is share this message, because there's a friend, a coworker, a loved one out there that needs to hear a piece of this. And it's what they are waiting for to help them radically shift the way that they've been living life and start to explore their true potential, for them to get unstuck. And so I need you to screenshot this, tag me on social media, or share or write a review, or whatever it is you know is going to get this message out to the right person at the right time, so that they can live the best life possible. Because that's our goal. That is our goal. You and me, to be able to share the best messages that we possibly can and impact a great number of lives. So as always, I appreciate you. Coach Joseph Hawthorne, Truth of Transformation. Peace be the journey.